today we're going to do a little printmaking activity, pseudo printmaking, because we don't have a printing press or all those other things. But we do have our clear plastic bags that we gathered in the beginning. If you haven't, go ahead and grab it. And this is a half-gallon size, but you can easily use a sandwich size or quart or whatever you have. The other thing we're going to need is water-soluble markers. So go ahead and grab as many colors of those as you have around. These good old Crayolas. Then I think the other thing you're going to need is paper, and you can really get random bits of paper or sheets of paper. Office paper will work. This is some kind of typewriter paper that I don't know, I got at a thrift store somewhere. Cardstock is another option. Book pages will be fun to work with. The other thing, if you have in your home, you will need a water spritzer, a little spritzy bottle of water. And you're going to want to make sure the setting is on that fine misty spray. If your kids are like my kids, it's on the laser beam kind of a setting, but yeah, that's it. You want the fine misty spray. Oops. Okay. And then for the final bits that are fairly optional, some sort of a black ink pen. Okay, so I'm just going to quick talk the overview so you guys kind of know what's coming at you, and then we'll do it all together. I'm going to draw or color with my markers onto the surface of this plastic bag. Then I'm going to spritz it a little or a lot, depending on how blendy and messy I want things to get. And then we're going to press our paper on top of it. So there's a few tips and tricks for getting some different techniques. So we'll do it all together too. But that is the overall concept. And then you'll just need a little time to let them dry if you want to further embellish or color on these pieces. So I'm going to angle the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, there is my, you remember that from lesson 2, like paint on the table. So you can, if I were you, just to see what this looks like and what's going to be happening, I would just do something first before you start deciding to draw a picture, just so you can see what the materials, how they act and what they do. So the first thing I did is I thought about making this nebula, kind of a Milky Way galaxy type thing. And I noticed where it was wettest, it was really, the markers really blended together in a very painterly way. Where it was drier, the marks were a lot more separate. Neither one's good or bad, it's just something to make note of. So that when you are doing it, you know, trying to do something specific, you know what to do to get the effect you want. Then I did some floral patterns. This is what it looked like with just a little bit of a spritz, not a whole lot. You can really see the different individual shapes, and you can even really see the marker lines that I made. Then I did it again, but I used more water, and this got a lot more painterly and a lot more messy, which I personally prefer. Then I went to my book pages, and I thought I would do a sort of a rainbow. But look at that, too much water. I really can't see any type of image here, which is fine. I'm going to keep it because what a beautiful background this will make for some doodle or some text or drawing over top. So, like I always say, don't throw anything away. Keep it all. These can, what pieces that you don't like or don't turn out the way that you want, you can keep for collage in later pieces. We do have another collage bit This was just some leftover paper from a previous lesson where I was experimenting with markers and water. And when I make a little mess, or when my template here, my work surface gets a little too gooey, I just clean it up with this, because even though this in and of itself is, I'd say, pretty unattractive, there's parts of this that I can cut out and use as collage elements in something else, something that we will be doing in a day or two. So don't throw anything away. Okay, let's do this. Let's start with this galaxy type scenario. The first thing I did is I got my colors. I got a black, a blue, a purple, and a pink. And you can pick whatever shades of blue you like, whatever shades of purple you like. Crayolas come in all kinds of colors and shades these days. So then I am going to draw on my surface. I'm keeping it, even though these are waterproof, I'm still just going to keep it contained within my plastic surface. So I'm going to do some dark black, and I'm scribbling. I'm just scribbling on my plastic bag here. And then I'm going to move to purple. And I'm going to just scribble. I'm going to overlap the black a little bit so that they blend together when I add some water. Blue, you can pick your shade of blue or do a combination of a few blues. Oh, this blue is really dark. You can keep a nice even line, or you can just do little marks. Maybe I'll move to a lighter blue now. And then I'm going to do some pink in the center. And they may mix together a little bit while you're coloring. I might even leave a little bit unmarked so that we'll see, maybe reserve some white of the paper. So now let's spritz. So it will take you probably a few tries to get the feel of how much or how little water you want, or how much or how little water can do. Okay, so I've spritzed over my marker. I'm going to just lay my paper on top of it. Now, if you move your paper around too much, all these colors will just sort of moosh together. So instead, I'm just going to lay my paper on top, and then I'm going to press. I'm going to hold the paper stable so I don't shift the paper around. And then I'm just going to rub with my fingers on this back side of the paper. And I can start to see some dampness coming through. This is cardstock, so it takes a little more. If you're having office paper, you'll see that pretty quickly. So, and here's the thing about this kind of process. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to pull this up. I have no idea. No matter how many times I do it, it's always a little unpredictable, which can be both uncomfortable and fun at the same time. So let's see what happens. Ooh. So I really like what's happening up in this corner. That feels super cool to me. See, look down here. I feel like I wished I would have had more water. So I'm not going to freak out about this piece. I'm just going to do it again. So same thing. I'm not even going to clean this off because I'm using the same colors. So here we go. Black. Mostly black around the edges. And just scribbling. Look at how uncareful I am being. This kind of process, this is really conducive to sort of messy, haphazard, non-precise styles. And then I'm going to overlap with some purple, maybe just spot some in. in a few places. I'm going to get that blue. I liked how it looked when I just sort of spotted it in a few places. I thought that looked really good, especially when they blended all together. So you can do, you know, you can keep yours really precise and even, but I would try one or two that has sort of unexpected uses of colors. Maybe your blue is only on one side. Maybe you don't have any pink, or just a teeny tiny little hint of pink right up in here where the blue meets the purple. Might be hard for you guys to see over there, but when you're doing your own, you'll be able to see these things a little bit. Like I said, it's always a little unpredictable. Maybe a little more blue down here. Okay, so based on my observations with this piece, what I liked happening, what I was not so keen on, I'm going to add more water, more spritzes. Ooh, I don't know what too much water is. I really don't, so maybe this will be too much. Okay. Ooh. All right, let's see what happens with this one. Again, carefully placing it. Once it's there, don't shift it. Even if it's not where you want, it's just better just to let it ride. I'm holding the paper stable as I'm rubbing it. Okay, let's see what happens with this one. Whoa! Pretty cool. I like it. All right, I'm going to leave those to dry. If you have a white gel pen or some sort of white marking tool, or even some white paint, you could dot in little white stars if you wanted to. So with the rest of this mess on here, I'm going to shift. I'm going to try to do some imagery and see what happens. So, but I don't want these blacks and blues that did not get lifted onto my paper. So I'm going to take my scrap paper and I'm just going to kind of clean it off by rubbing it all on there. See, and you can see little bits on there. Who knows what will happen? That may come in useful. Okay. So now I have pretty much a clean blank canvas again. So let's see what happens if we try to get a little imagery in and work on a different type of paper. We always have these books that have fallen apart, so I'm going to see what happens when I try to work on a book page. Now, what you'll notice is this page is a lot smaller than my other pieces that I was working on. So I don't want to, even if I color on my entire paper, I'm only going to get this much of my image. So what I'm going to do, so I can control, so I know where the edges of my paper are within this, is I'm going to put the paper under my plastic sheets, and then I can draw, and I know it will be the size of my paper. So let's see, I tried this rainbow and it did not work because I added too much water. Let's see if I can learn from that and add less water. So yellow, orange, pink. I'm going to use pink instead of red. Darker pink maybe. Oh, let's see if I can find a purple. Oh yeah, I've got one here. little light blue. And there's like this peacocky green that I think is super pretty. Okay, so the last one that I did, I spritzed too much water. I suppose you could try not spritzing any water at all, or just a little bit. Just to see what happens. Okay. I'm going to lay my paper on top. Holding it with my fingers to stabilize it. Rubbing along to get some pressure to pick up the piece. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, yeah, not great, but don't throw it away. Okay, so let's move on to, once these dry and you have something that did not work out so great, what can I do with this? Well, my original intention with this was a rainbow. So what happens if I stick with that idea? So even though my colors are all blendy, what if I stick with these arcs with my black ink pen? And I'm going to go one more arc up just to get it right next to that blue, that messy blue. Oops. Okay, kind of cool. I can even, if I feel like that is too understated of color, I can come back in with my markers. What happens if I layer these things like this? Maybe I have a little bit of a yellow line in here. Maybe my orange is just little orange dots. Maybe some stripies. And then a blue for the last one. So, what once was a disaster, I don't know, turned into something kind of cute. So, play with what you have, experiment. What other kind of images could you make? Outer space, underwater, any kind of images, really. I'm excited to see what you come up with. All right, we'll see you next time.